Okay. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Amy Haynes, and I am the Marketing Manager for Communication Products here at Macmillan Learning. I'm joined today by my colleague, Heather Halter-Kimball, our Learning Solutions Specialist, and Heather will be doing really all of the heavy lifting today as soon as I'm done. This is the second week in our April series of brief webinars highlighting some of our favorite digital resources for communication. Everything that you'll see today is available in LaunchPad, which is our online platform that delivers an ebook, homework, activities, and other learning resources. In each of these webinars, we are focusing on just one feature in LaunchPad that can help you engage your students. Heather will do a 15-minute demo, and then we'll open it up for questions. We are doing our best to keep these brief and useful for you. This week's topic is our video assessment program, which is powered by GoReact, and it consolidates the tasks of uploading and recording video, writing comments, filling out rubrics, and delivering feedback to students into one seamless environment. So if you are brand new to Macmillan and you've never seen anything in LaunchPad, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you have used our books but maybe haven't ventured into the digital realm, or if you've used LaunchPad but haven't had time to explore all of the features, we hope you might learn something new. So there should be something for everybody here. Before I pass things over to Heather, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items for using this GoToWebinar program. So this is the attendee control panel that you should see on your own computer desktop, I think in the upper right-hand corner. So by default, as I just mentioned, everybody is muted. This is just an automatic setting to cut down on background noise. If you would prefer to join over the phone, you can just click this phone call button here, and then a little box will pop up with the phone number you can dial. If you can hear us, you've automatically been connected using your computer speakers, and you should be all set. But of course, if you prefer the phone, that's how you do that. We will unmute everybody for questions, have no fear. And then a couple of other features here, the raise hand function, which is hanging out on the top left of this control panel with the little hand. You can click that and it will signify to us that you're raising your hand. We can unmute you if you have a question or if you need something else. And then anytime you want to ask us a question the whole time we're on the webinar today, you can use this questions panel and you just type in and hit submit or hit send, and I will be monitoring those. And I will either type back your answer, or if it's something that makes sense to hold for the larger group, I will do that as well. So without further ado, I will pass things over to Heather.
All right. Thank you so much, Amy. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here and get to where I need to be. Hide all this out. Oops. Every time. All right, great. Well, again, thank you, Amy, and welcome to everyone here. Welcome to our webinar series. Really excited to have you guys here today. I think, as Amy said, we're going to have something here for everybody on the line today. Many of you may already be familiar with LaunchPad. Some of you maybe have never used it for whatever reason. Maybe you just haven't had time to check it out. Whatever it is, what I'd like to do with our time together today is to focus on just one particular item within our LaunchPad product rather than focusing on it as a whole. And if you decide that you like this one feature, feel free to go ahead and start implementing it for fall, or quite frankly, if you want to test out this spring, that's certainly an option too. The feature that we're going to be looking at today is our video assessment powered by GoReact. Again, my name is Heather Halter, and I'm your Learning Solutions Specialist for Communication with Macmillan Learning, meaning I provide training and pedagogical support for instructors who are using our supplemental media products such as Video Assessment and LaunchPad. Before coming to Macmillan, I received my master's in communication from the University of Central Florida, where I actually wrote my thesis on using social media in the classroom. So this idea of media and teaching has been a passion of mine for years. After that, I taught public speaking for 5 years in face-to-face, hybrid, and online formats. And of course, naturally, I used media myself while I was teaching. While I was the course director at Full Sail University, I actually led our department's implementation of speech class, which is what was the predecessor to LaunchPad. And of course, now that I'm with Macmillan, I get to help instructors use these awesome resources as well. So it's a pretty great gig. What I want to look at today is going to be, as I said, Macmillan's video assessment program within LaunchPad, powered by GoReact. We're going to get a chance to see it in action, how we can leave real-time feedback in a powerful format, which leads to meaningful engagement with your students. And we'll spend some time getting some ideas for how you can incorporate this into your class. Not just the how to actually build the assignment, but what you can actually do with it. Worth noting that this is available in all of our LaunchPads for public speaking, human communication, interpersonal communication, and mass communication. And if you're interested in learning any more about this, if you'd like a one-on-one session, I'm happy to schedule time with you, and we'll talk about how you can do that towards the end. What I do want to start off with really quickly is just a very brief overview of LaunchPad in general. This, of course, is a class that I've already set up, so I've got nice stuff to demonstrate for you. But you can see that in LaunchPad, everything is already divided up by chapters for any of our pre-made assignments and activities. So you can simply click open a chapter to expand it open and see the different types of activities we have available. Anything you want to preview, you simply just click on it to open it up, and you can check it out. In this case, this is one of our video activities, different from video assessment. We'll be talking about these in our last week of webinars when we look at course-specific resources. But if that video activity is something you decide you want to assign to your students for homework, all you have to do is click the Assign button that'll appear over towards the right-hand side of the page, pick a due date, assign a point value, click Assign, and then that activity is now ready to go as a graded assignment for your students to complete for homework. With that though, instead, rather than focusing on our pre-made activities in here, I want to take a look at our video assessment, which is actually something that you have total control over how you actually use it in your class. And to start out, I'm going to actually jump to a pre-finished assignment that I have that my quote-unquote sample student uploaded here. And full disclosure, that is a video of me pretending to be a student. But what I want to start out with is, what exactly is this video assessment? We're throwing around this word, but maybe it doesn't necessarily mean a lot to you. So our video assessment allows either you as the instructor or your student to upload just about any video or audio file that you may have saved on your computer, anything that can be found on YouTube, or you can also record a video directly into LaunchPad to allow for time-based commenting, marker callouts, rubric grading, and have a secure spot to easily distribute student recordings. There's a lot of other products out there that are similar to this or do some of the same things, but in my opinion, a lot of them don't offer as much robust functionality, and they can be a little clunkier to use. As I stated previously, I used to teach public speaking and used an older version of these tools in my course. Now, prior to having any sort of video assessment program, my students would record their speeches, get that from their phone to their computer or wherever it may be, upload it to YouTube, where they would then give me the link to the YouTube video, and I would say 9 times out of 10 it was either private or unlisted, or I couldn't get to the video itself. So that was a hassle. And then when I finally got to watch their recording, I typed comments in a Word document and then emailed it back to them. It was pretty much the worst possible way that my students could get feedback. They weren't able to actually apply it to their speeches because it just wasn't fluid at all. Using a video assessment program helped with that immensely. This way, my students would record themselves presenting, They'd upload their video. I can add comments and grade a rubric while I'm watching the video. So it just allows you to add really targeted, specific feedback, and of course, immediate feedback as well. Of course, there's lots of other different options rather than just grading speeches, and we're going to spend some time looking at that after we walk through how this actually works. So as I said, what I've got up on the screen is an example of what a completed assignment could look like. Here's my student video that I've uploaded. I'm going to hit play on this, and hopefully the lag isn't too bad. Sometimes there can be some when we're on these webinar series, but if you're in LaunchPad yourself, I promise it'll play fine. And I did turn off the audio because we don't have to actually hear what I'm saying. But what I want to point out is as we reach a particular point in the video, you're going to notice that the comments over on the right-hand side of the page here highlight and show up on the video itself. This is what we refer to, this is what I'm talking about when I refer to time-based comments. You're allowed to add a comment exactly where in the video something happens, so you can give pinpoint, precise feedback. For example, let's say that I just had a great source citation. I start typing my comment. The video will automatically pause so you don't lose track. You type your comment, click enter, and then my comment went in right there at 41 seconds. And what this means to your student then, of course, is when they come back to review their grade and your feedback, they know at the exact moment throughout their project where they did a good job with source citation. Or as you can see with some of my other comments I have in here, maybe where they need to have source citation instead. Comments can be left in a variety of ways. Of course, text will probably be the most common. You can also, though, add a video comment if you want to record a video of yourself saying something. Maybe you want to demonstrate something. That would allow you to do that. Audio, maybe it's easier for you to say something than to type it. You can upload a file from your computer, embed a video from YouTube, and add what we call the end note, which allows you to have kind of a large overarching comment that you want to apply to the speech or video as a whole. Additionally, we have, you'll see these little bright colored squares here. These are what we call markers. And these are something that you can use for any sort of recurring comment or feedback, something you know you're going to say a lot and you don't necessarily want to type it every time. They are totally customizable, so they can say whatever you like. In this case, of course, these are all related to kind of speech delivery items. But again, it's time-based. So let's say that my student did a great job with eye contact right there. I insert it right there at 2 minutes in. What I think is a really good one, personally, let's say that there's a lot of ums going on right now. I can go ahead and click that a couple of times. And my video will then, I should say my student will then know that they kind of went off on a little tangent there with a bunch of ums. All of the markers and comments are also tracked down in this feedback graph, which goes underneath the student's video. Everywhere you see a colored dot, of course, corresponds to the markers. And anywhere you see the gray hash is where a comment is. And then, of course, we also track the number of times that a particular marker was used. So this student can see that they said 8 different times in here. So really, really good, helpful feedback. And then, of course, you can also grade the video while you're watching it as well. We do provide pre-made rubrics, but these are also totally editable, and you can also build your own from scratch as well. Once you build your rubric to your liking, you can then just come in here, click the buttons. It will do the math for you, and when you click Post Rubric, that score will then report back into the LaunchPad gradebook. Or, as we'll talk about in a bit, by extension, it can also report back into various LMS gradebooks as well. Now, of course, we said that this is used for more than just speeches, so I wanted to show you another example of a finished assignment, and this is going to be what's called our comment-only feature. What happens here is the instructor has a video that they want to share with their students, and it turns the project into sort of a video-based discussion board. In this case, as the instructor, I had a TED Talk I want my students to watch. Let me get this loaded up. I'm going to, again, turn down that volume. But you can see here, I pulled a TED Talk off of YouTube. It embeds right in here. And you can see, again, I've got the same time-based comments that I did previously. Of course, though, Ginny Weasley is my student, so she's in here adding her own comments. And if we select all comments, you can see other people who have come in and left comments and added markers as well. Now, of course, because we're not necessarily grading a speech here, I set up some different types of markers. Perhaps you can include something if the student disagrees with a point the speaker makes. They could insert that in there. If they agree with something, if they're neutral on something, and then I added one that I thought might be helpful, a delivery comment. So maybe the speaker did something in here that, negatively or positively affected how the speech was perceived. Of course, though, because these rubrics can be customized as well, one that I kind of came up with here is a way how you could actually ask your students questions about the video as well. So of course you can add text box in here for students to write replies to you. You can have them rate various features of the video as well. So again, it's not just for grading speeches. There are a lot of different ways that this can be used. And to expand upon all the different ways that this can be used, I'm actually going to walk through building a video assessment just so that you can fully see all of the different options available here. Now, the first place we want to come is to this Add New button. I know we said a lot of stuff in LaunchPad lives within the chapters themselves, but whenever we want to add a new activity, we can do it right from this little button right here. We click Add New. You can see there's a lot of different options here, but I'm going to select Video Assessment. From here, I'm going to give this a name. Click Save and go to Done Editing. I click on this, on the title, and it opens up in a new tab. From here, you can select the type of activity that you want to complete. Of course, there is the comment only, which again, the instructor provides a video and students reply. Stimulus is where participants will submit a video, which is then synchronized with another piece of media. Live event allows for a speech record, or I should say, any sort of presentation to be recorded while simultaneously using the real-time commenting and rubric grading. So everything's done all at one time. And then, of course, there's also the self-submit, which allows for the kind of asynchronous. You or your students submit a video, and then people come in at a later time and date to add comments, grade, use the rubric. From here, you can see we've got all sorts of different options available. Recording instructions all refer to any directions you want to give to your students when they're recording this activity. You have the option to type in this text box here. If you want to go the little extra mile and record a video of yourself giving directions, you can do that. Or if you've got a Word document or anything like that, of course, you can upload that here. There is the option for students to sync slides with their presentation as well. But I think what's going to be most helpful is the feedback here. So this is going to be where you give students instructions, comment on X amount of videos, leave this number of comments, watch this video and give feedback on whatever topic it may be. You can allow for peer critique. So of course, then all students in the class can see all the other comments. This marker set, though, is of course my personal favorite. Here you can see these are my markers that I set up for that TED Talk. Here's a marker set that I created for the informative speech. And of course, as I said, these are totally editable. So you just click on the little pencil and you can add your new marker here. Make that one just kind of generic there. You click enter, and then that marker will then be available on your new assignment that you're building. You also have the option to add rubrics for both an instructor and student as well. So if you want to have your instructor rubric, you can come here, select a rubric, and of course it is also totally editable as well. So everything will populate here, but you can change anything in these little boxes that you want to. So the text can be exactly what you want, and then you can drag various elements in here as well to build your own. You then, of course, can add that same or a different rubric to the student side of things and allow for self-evaluation, peer evaluation. You can have both of them or none of them turned on. When we click done, you then are presented with this screen. As the instructor, of course, there's nothing to grade right now. Your students will see something very similar to this though. And to add a video into LaunchPad and video assessment, all they do is click add video, and they've got the option to either upload a file, embed a video from YouTube, or they can record directly from a webcam in their laptop. Also worth noting, and we can cover this more during Q&A time, we do also have an app available that allows students to record videos directly from their phone or tablet, and it will automatically add the video to the assignment within LaunchPad as well. As we said, there are a lot of different uses for this in your course. So I wanted to point out a couple of different ways that this can be used beyond just simply uploading a speech. If you're teaching a human, an intro, or an interpersonal communication class, we've got options. You can use the self-submit activity to ask students to maybe work in a group, record a scripted interaction that then illustrates concepts that you introduced in the chapter. Students can then peer review and critique the effectiveness of the communication transaction. By setting up a comment-only activity, you can use a custom marker set where, as the instructor, you share a video clip and ask students to identify effective or ineffective, maybe verbal and nonverbal cues, whatever you want them, whatever you'd like them to point out. And students can, of course, add comments that interpret those cues and make suggestions for how the communicators can improve. And of course, the live event could be used to assess and record students' end of semester projects. For mass communication, we again use the self-submit. Maybe you ask your students to submit video clips that show various topics. One example may be persuasive techniques used in advertisements, and they can add comments and markers to point out various techniques. You can use a comment-only activity, use markers and a video clip from a popular TV show, and maybe students can indicate areas where the show reinforces stereotypes, where it challenges them, or any other concepts in your chapter. Again, the self-submit could also be used for students to locate maybe a news or an entertainment clip and comment how the story is affected by framing and other filming techniques. So a lot of different options here. With that, just a quick little recap. So we looked at how to build a video assessment within LaunchPad and looked at different ways to incorporate it into your class. Again, this is available for almost all of our communication LaunchPads. And if you want to learn a little bit more about it or LaunchPad, I'm happy to sign up for a one-on-one session with you. And with that, I will pass it back to Amy.
Thank you, Heather. So I've unmuted the line. If anybody has a question, we did have, looks like we have two that came through the chat, but if anybody would like to ask anything, or feel free, the line's open. Okay, so Heather, I will just read you what has come through. We had a question in the chat wondering about the rubrics, whether there are any in there to begin with, provided by the publisher.
Yes, absolutely. Let me exit out of the slides here, jump on back in here. I can actually easily show right from here. I'm going to come to Edit Activity, and I'm going to remove this rubric and add in a new one. So when you go to add a rubric to your assignment, you're going to notice two little tabs up top here. The first will say Mine, so any rubrics that you own. And then the second tab, rather than Bedford, Freeman, and Worth, it's actually going to say your institution, wherever it is that you're teaching. And if you go under that tab, it's going to show you all of the rubrics that Macmillan Learning has provided to you. So we have an impromptu, informative, persuasive, and special occasion that you can work off of. And worth noting that the reason why this has your institution name up here is because you do have the option to share rubrics between instructors at your school. So if you guys use a common rubric for your course, you only have to build it once. You don't have to have all your instructors go in and build it multiple times.
Okay. And the next question, can you only use LaunchPad if you are using a Macmillan text? And I can answer that. You can use LaunchPad on its own. You don't have to have a print component. Most of these, if they're attached to a book, there's a full ebook in LaunchPad. But you would adopt LaunchPad, as your course materials. Does that answer the question? You can type back if it doesn't. And then another one. Can the professor directly record a video performance into LaunchPad, or does it always have to be uploaded from another source? Good question.
No, it can absolutely be recorded. Let me go back to that. So we came to this Add Video button, and you can just click on where it says record here. And if you've got maybe like a laptop set up at the front of the room, or this could also work with some rooms have built-in cameras, you click that record button and it will actually pull up the webcam and allow you to record that directly into LaunchPad and the video assessment activity you've set up. And the time frame is actually, I think you get up to 45 minutes of recording time in there. So plenty of time to capture anything live that you want.
Okay. And then just one more. I'm wondering how this works with Canvas as far as grading and.
Yes, so I briefly mentioned it earlier, but meant to go into a little more detail in it. So we do offer at most schools what we call deep integration with various LMS systems, Canvas, of course, Blackboard, Moodle, and D2L. And what happens with that is, as the instructor, you would first go into LaunchPad and set up any activities you want your students to complete, be it, one of the pre-existing activities or one of these video assessment options. And then you can go into your LMS course and set up a link out to those individual activities. So the benefit of this is, to your student, LaunchPad content lives right alongside any other content you have in Canvas. When they follow that link, it takes them directly into the assignment, so they don't have to remember another website, another set of login information, or anything like that. They just complete the activity, and then the grade that they get on that activity will automatically transfer into your LMS gradebook then. In the case of a video assessment, if it's students submitting a video that you're then going to grade, once you fill out the rubric or assign whatever grade you want, that score will then transfer back into your LMS gradebook as well.
Okay. And then we had also a question about pricing for LaunchPad by itself, and I am going to type back an answer to this because it does depend on the title. As most books have different prices, so do the LaunchPads. But we have some, options that start under $40 if you want to have this video functionality, And then it does go up from there. If it includes an ebook, of course, that will affect the cost, but I am going to send a more detailed answer via text. So if there are any other questions, let us know. If not, we will just wrap up with a couple of ways to kind of follow up on what we have been chatting about today. Okay, so if you would like to learn a little more about GoReact, Heather mentioned this, that she has an availability to set up time with people. So this link at the top, meetme.so/Heather Kimball. If you go to that URL, it will take you to a calendar where you can just pick a day and time and set up an appointment with Heather. She can show you more things that you'd like to see beyond the video assessment we looked at today. Of course, anything digital that we have for communication. If you have explored it on your own and you want to learn how to use something a little more, she can help you with that too. So definitely take advantage of Heather. She's a wonderful resource. If you'd like to just check out our catalog, you can go to macmillanlearning.com/communication, and that will take you to all of our communication products where they are organized by course. And you can go to launchpadworks.com, this highlighted URL, if you would like to just poke around on LaunchPad a little more. There are some videos and some case studies there that you can explore at your convenience. And then for anything else, if you don't know who the Macmillan rep is at your school, or if you need a desk copy, if you want to know more about something you saw on our website or in an email, if you have questions that didn't pertain to today's topic, or you just want to say hi, please don't hesitate to email me at the address here at the bottom, amy.haynes@macmillan.com. And then last but not least, I will make a plug for the rest of the webinars in this series. Tomorrow and Friday, we are hosting this session again. If you just can't get enough, you can come back. And then next week, we are going to look at building quizzes and tests in LaunchPad. And last week, Heather mentioned this too. We are going to have 4 unique sessions focused on resources in LaunchPad for a particular course, so that there's one session each for Mass Comm, interpersonal, human or intro comm, and then public speaking. And then last week we looked at Learning Curve, which is our adaptive quizzing in LaunchPad. If you'd like to get a recording of that session, send me an email and I will make sure you get that. You can also book a time with Heather, of course, to look at that on your own. Adaptive quizzing is pretty cool, so I think it's worth your time if you are not familiar with Learning Curve. So you can sign up for any of the upcoming webinars at this highlighted link, this tiny.cc/com spring training. You can also refer back to the original email you received about this session and use that link. So thank you for your time today, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a great day.